Hello everyone, KnightRider7602 here. Now with attempt number 2 of the koyuger review. I filmed the first attempt, and I went back on the review and I made a lot of good points, but my main problem was I was trying to multitask, meaning I was doing this and watching a show on TV. I was watching Teen Wolf. So you see me like doing this motion a lot, like moving back and forth. Unless like if I was sitting up front, and I could do multitask then. This just looks kind of awkward. So, actually, let's just go ahead and move to the side. I'm gonna unhook this problematic cord, take these off, and we're gonna do a quick. Yes, I'm wearing pajama pants, people. So I'm going to make sure my shirt's all the way down in the front, so that we don't have any problems. Oh. This is like the first time I get to do a full motion movement of my camera. So we're gonna, alright. And well, why not I'll open the windows a little bit. This review is going to be amazing, guys. I'm telling you. Here we go. And with enough light, hopefully, this review can now get on their way. Alright. So, yeah, kind of botched it a little bit with spring break here. Like I said, the review was good, but it was totally messy. As in with me being all distracted watching the television. Now, this didn't happen earlier when I made another video, I think regarding about Elsa and Disney. You can check that out on my channel. But this is not why we're here. Well, I guess I should take this few minutes to actually talk about what's the upcoming reviews. Well, as the weekend comes up, and as this is nearing the end of the school year, for me, finals will be hitting hard. Right now, I'm unsure whether or not what finals I'll be having, if I'll be having any, but one. The thing is, I will only have probably one final, and that's an AP exam, and that's gonna be like the toughest exam I have to take. On top of that, I have to do I'm working West Side Story. So, in and of itself, this is a pain in the ass. Meaning, I wish I had a lot more time to come here and do videos because I want to keep you guys happy. So, here's the thing. We'll have the koyuger review. This will be the koyuger review, hopefully, unless something happens and I have to make another exit. Because when doing the koyuger review, I started suddenly feeling very, very ill. I felt a little ill during the video. Like, I was super cold, and after doing the video, I went and took a nap. I took a short nap. So enough of that. Let's talk about reviews that are going to be coming up. Well, after this review, I'm gonna do the Tokuger Gaim crossover episode, which was the spring break special. I actually did get a chance to watch this episode. The episodes I watched, the fact that I watch all my shows religiously like this is really fun and all, but it's a bit harsh when you have to do it while I'm waiting at a hotel, waiting for your room to be, revealed and all that stuff. So basically, here's what went down. The spring break review, the whole time for spring break, I was supposed to do not only the koyuger review, but I was going to do another series review, maybe Kamen Rider related. But what ended up happening was I forgot that I had to take a trip. I took a trip for school, and long story short, came back Sunday. Couldn't do anything else. So I said I will take this time, hopefully today, to do it because I have nothing else to do the rest of the week. So I'm taking 4 minutes to freaking explain everything. That's sad. Well, whatever. It's my channel and it's my content. Next thing I want to say is next review that's coming up is Let's see. I'm gonna try to work at a Kamen Rider review. I've never done one. Actually, this review is gonna be the first Sentai review, and hopefully, I'm thinking of maybe doing Forza and or Wizard as my first Kamen Rider review. So hopefully, if all goes well, I can do this review. I'll do that review. And as for like the summer months, I have work again over the summer. It's been confirmed. And what I'm planning to do is reopen a popular thing that I've done, a really odd thing that I've done over a few summers ago, and that was I may choose a fanfic and I may read a fanfic again. Or I can take the entire month and like do like a crazy bunch of reviews, because think about it, if I take the days off I have and I can do all these reviews, it will be amazing how many videos I can put out before I go to college. And it's wonderful, and this is going to be amazing. I'm telling you, like the summer movies, and since like summer is like the year of the superhero movies and all that, I'm going to take time to talk about everything that has happened with superheroes in the past few months, like the Young Justice debacle, the Beware of Batman, Teen Titans Go. There's actually a special Batman short that's going to be on tonight. I think around 6:30, around where like the new episode of Teen Titans Go starts. And that's pretty much it. So I will probably say 7 minutes will be the start of the koyuger review. So 1, 2, 3, now. Okay, Zuden Sentai koyuger. This series is good. I actually did get a chance to watch the entire thing. I've watched it so much, it's amazing. I like the show. The show was something different. It brought something that Go Busters had, but it didn't have enough of. It didn't. The show Go Busters really did a lot of serious, dark elements, and I'm glad that they actually brought in a light-hearted, more lighter Sentai, because with Kamen Rider Wizard being the dark entry on the list, it'll be nice to have something, more cheery than everyday like despair and a lot of fucked up shit that goes down Wizard. More on that review. So, what's the plot? Basically, long ago in the Age of Dinosaurs, there was this giant war between the Earth's guardians, the koyugers, and the evil monster entity known as Deboff, or Deboss. It's really complicated. The translation of each name is kind of different, as I'm fighting through a cold. So, the evil forces were sealed, and apparently all the dinosaurs have been changed into robotic batteries. Don't ask me why, it's just how it went down. Years later, the Deboff Legion has a rise again, and now it's up to Torin to pick 5 heroes to save the day and become the next koyugers. On that list, we have King, Koryu Red, the all-around type. He's the all-around type fighter. He's really, he knows how to use his weapons, which, by the way, the morphers for this season are guns that play a samba tune, and later on we get Koryu Gold's Gauntlet, old style Japanese, and then the Giga Gao Revolver, which plays like a crazy rock and roll theme, which plays into the theme of music very well. So King's the all-around fighter. He's the leader, but you feel more it feels like he smothers you. More on King in a later part of the video. Next up is Nobuharu. Nobuharu is like this odd jobs worker. Maybe that's like a callback to Sentai like Time Ranger, who where some of the characters had odd jobs to do. He does that while he's working with his sister, who's very super skeptical of the koyugers at first. She doesn't even like Koryu Blue, who is Nobuharu. She doesn't like him. Like, oh, like he's some kind of weirdo. He's tried to hurt people or something. It's kind of weird. And he has a niece. And what's cool about Nobuharu's the actor for Nobuharu's like sister, is basically the same actress that played Jasmine in Deca Ranger, who I believe is currently pregnant, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's either pregnant or in the process of having a baby. And either way, congratulations. It was nice that the series did give a nod to the fact that she had that role by letting her like take on a few of the grunts of the show and having to do her Deca Ranger morph pose, which was kind of funny in and of itself. No, like I said, Nobuharu's the strong guy. He's super strong and he makes old man jokes. That's like his quirk. That's his character quirk. He makes these old man jokes and they're not jokes, they're more puns. Like really, really bad puns. Like, we need to switch the situation or something. It's something weird. It's always something weird like that. Next up we have Soji, Koryu Green. He's a teen. He's the teen of the group. He's not. The show, I think, depicts that he's the youngest member of the team. He's still in high school somewhat, and he's under like his father's like training. His father trains him to be a swords master, and we find out that he even mastered like his own like family style, which is like the big thing in the series, this sword style of his, because he has like the fancy. I'm trying to look for an item I can use. I'll use my remote. He has like this fancy like reverse grip style of fighting, and he even does like a bunch of moves from like Rurouni Kenshin, and it's something like you never see a lot of things in Sentai with the swords characters. And like a fun fact, it's been implied apparently that Soji's dad knows the cross technique that Joe knows in Gokaiger. You know, like the circle cross technique. Like apparently he knows that. Well, that's only because Soji's dad who was originally Dinah Black, and Soji's mom is actually Dinah Pink. So basically, two Sentai characters got together and had another Sentai character. Try to follow that right now. But it's really cool to see those two on screen again. Sadly, they don't morph or they don't do much fighting, but hey, so we get what we get. Next up, we got Ian, the cool guy. We see him with a leather jacket. He doesn't even change clothing that much in the show. Like the thing is with the characters is like characters like Soji, who wears like a school uniform He wears like this green jacket. In other episodes, he's not wearing the jacket. He's wearing a white button-down shirt and a tie. And it's like, I like Soji in that sometimes because it's more like he's more free. Because I don't know, to me, like, the jacket is not enough to when you're doing things like freaking swinging the sword around and then, like, you're jumping up in the air and dashing, wave dashing. Hell, the guy even does, like, Soji actually fights off a bunch of the grunts with just a wooden sword. Kind of like Dairanger in a way, where, I believe, the Green Ranger, he like fight people off with brooms, which is pretty cool. Anyways, back to Ian. I went back to Soji for a second. Ian's like this cool, collected guy. He's always has girls around him, and it's basically like, oh, he's like the ladies' man of the show. And a lot of his character development comes from 2 points. He gets really good character development in like 2 episodes. One is where we find out that he had a friend and his friend died. And it turns out like at first it was a monster that killed. At first it was the monster of the week that killed him, or so we thought. But we actually find out later that it's Algeron, one of the main general villains of the series. And his development is from vengeance to hopefulness to like he understands like the pain. And then there's this really, I say if I recommend an episode to you, it's an episode where a monster of the week sends Usinimaru and the Sixth Ranger and Ian's girlfriend and send them into an alternate dimension. And Usinimaru's all like, I don't know why you hang out with him. He's so like, he's a man. He's always like, he's a player. And what really played off is like, she tells him like, it's not even like that. It's not, he's trying to be romantic and all. He's trying to be a good person and like, he tries to help people and he wants people to be happy. So really, the cool demeanor thing is played off as more of a shield because he wants to be happy. Hell, he has an emotional breakdown during the final bits of the episodes, during the final few episodes, and it's like seeing a character like that have an emotional breakdown is something of a feat for myself. Because I always wanted to see the cool character break down at least once during the series and just go, like, this is how I feel and this is who I really am. And that's Ian. Ian really stuck out to me in the show as someone who actually had a good backstory and a good reasoning for, like, being a hero. Though at points, like, you feel like he would, like, selfishly, like, you know, use his powers to, you know, like maybe call upon women, or he may, like, his vengeance may get the best of him and he may hurt others. But it doesn't go that far. The vengeance storyline never goes that far, as I'll point out later with Algeron. So, the next... Oh, well, we didn't go over Soji's character's quirk, did we? Well, Soji's character quirk is more of... He's young. He's more like he has no freaking understanding of what's going on half the time. It's pretty funny. He's basically like, oh, you're, not, like, he's not, like, wow, not confused, but he's more smart. He's, like, trying to be smart. And it's cool, like, you can see, like, a guy in high school, and he's trying to, you know, be strong in and of himself. That's basically his quirk. He doesn't have a funny quirk, but it's more or less like he'll react off of certain people, like King and Usinimaru and every other character. He bounces off characters. With Ian, his quirk is he has a catchphrase, and his catchphrase is "Oh my," which is in English. And yes, that is something that George Takei himself can be proud of. It's nice to see. It's nice to see Ian. I like Ian. Ian's one of my personal favorite characters. Up next, we have the girl of the group, Amy. The girl of the main 5, Amy. It's been determined that Amy's a college student, and she's studied abroad in America because her quirk is she has a bunch of quirks. One of them is only used maybe twice in the series, and that's she has this foot thing where she grabs stuff with her foot. She can grab stuff with her feet. Like, she grabs the remote with her feet. She uses it to help to get out of, like, a tight situation with Soji. It was really cool. Like, they were trapped, and she unties them with her foot. With, like, her feet. And her gimmick is, like, she kicks a lot. She does a lot of kicking. A lot of people might know, like, seen this gif. But it's a gif of her doing a backflip and then straight up kicking a laser arrow off screen, and like an explosion just goes off. You're like, shit, that's a good kick. And like I said, Amy studied abroad in America, so she does say, like, she has like a lot of American sayings that are really out there. She goes, wow, and yeehaw. There's like a moment where she does say, like, yeehaw and bye-bye. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, okay, this gimmick is going to get annoying fast. It didn't really get that annoying. It was a lot stranger hearing it from her. I didn't get offended, at least, thank God. I thought I would get offended at this point, like watching it, like, we're not Texas. We're America, not Texas. Maybe that's where she studied abroad. Maybe she was in Texas. Who knew? And she has her side character, which is Gentle, the family butler. She's like rich. Amy's rich, and Gentle is more like the strict guy who he's kind of against her being a koyuger at first. She's all like, "No, you shouldn't do this. You're a young lady, and I don't want you here with all these ruffians." I'm just especially looking at King, who is, I think King's issue is he's way too goddamn hyped up. I think everything gets the guy hyped up. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's get wild." You're like, nigga, calm the fuck down. Relax, chill, easy. I mean, damn. So that's Amy's quirk. She does like think she's a kicker. She's a kicker, and she speaks American sometimes. And it's also pointed out because it does become important later. She reads a manga known as Love Touch, which we do get to touch upon a bit later, with another koyuger, two of them, and another character. So that's all. That's the main five. The sixth ranger is Usinimaru. Usinimaru, to talk about Usinimaru is to talk about. Well, we'll get to, like I said, we'll get into our roll call of villains later. Usinimaru is the sixth ranger, and he's another time shock character. He's a character from like feudal Japan who's come to like the 21st century, and he's all like, "What is going on? What is this stuff? Like, whoa, like what is this? And that's a gun, and oh my god, whoa, this is amazing." And it's nice to point out that his Zudenchi, the Paragordon Zudenchi, was acquired by Deboff and later turned good. Now, the thing here that I forgotten to mention is that they all five rangers do control like an individual Zord. King controls Gabatira. Nobuharu controls it's not a Stegosaurus. I can't Studegochi. Zektor is Soji's. Parasaigon is Ian, and Jikara is Amy's. So they're all certain dinosaurs. Sorry, I'm like, there's something weird going on outside. Excuse me a second. There's like a problem with my rose garden or something. It fixed itself. I don't know what I have to do. Freaking rose garden issues, man. Anyways, what was I saying? Yes, Zords. Yes, Zudenchi by Usinimaru. What's cool is that some Zudenchis, like Usinimaru's, actually has like an individual mech form. Like, he has this mech, and the mech comes with like two daggers, and he can like swipe, which is really cool. There's also other like Zudenchis later that also has that kind of functionality as well. Anyways, back to Usinimaru's character. He's time ravaged. He's more or less, he has no understanding of what's going on. And when he appears, he does have the Sixth Ranger quirk. The Sixth Ranger quirk. What that is basically whenever a Sixth Ranger appears, the Sixth Ranger is always a total asshole. Like, you guys don't know what you're doing, or as usual, I'm here to save the day, I'm here to save you, stupid idiots. This series kind of threw a curveball, and for once, the Sixth Ranger thing is actually a fake. Amy thought it'd be nice to have Usinimaru, keep everybody in shape, like, or keep people like training hard by, insulting them, which I don't see that's a good point. That's terrible. But once we get to finally see Usenimaru with the team, he's like super goofy and he says things like really ridiculous. Like he says perfect in a weird way. Or it's like if somebody would try to, like, who was trying to speak Japanese, say the word perfect and it's perfect. He says like perfect, like parfait nearly. That was something really cool. And Usenimaru also has this whole thing with his whole big thing is like he used to have like anger issues, and it will happen from time to time. Like he'll get angry, but sometimes he gets the stupid angry, like the angry that's all like, like the episode where he gets mad at Ian because Ian pranks him into like sending 2 girls to like seduce him, and he's not really sure about that, and he just goes, "Oh my gosh, like you're such an idiot, Xander, Thunder." Like he actually electrocutes Ian with his sword, which is hilarious in and of itself. But he's the 6th Ranger, and he's a 6th Ranger in a dinosaur Sentai. Meaning that Usenimaru has a time clock on him. Think of the video for Saving Me from Nickelback. Basically, his counter started when he joined the team. The trope is with dinosaur Sentai is that every 6th Ranger eventually dies. Some way, somehow. Burai and the Green Candle, Amare Killer and his suit malfunctioning, and now Usenimaru, like, and how he dies is more or less of the holy shit, like that's freaking awesome death, because he dies like in the middle of a fight and he wins, and it's like fucking amazing. And I like Usenimaru as well. He's a good character. Well-written character. I think his episodes were really cool as well. His standalone episodes. Like, I say it in like that because it's a lot harder to say standalone when this problem keeps appearing. More on that later. Aside from this, an idea that was introduced in Power Rangers Jungle Fury actually make their way into the series, and that's Spirit Rangers. Spirit Rangers like Ramirez and Akidan. Ramirez is the Koryu Cyan, and unlike the other Koryugers, he doesn't need like the blaster. He like does a motion and he transforms into it. It's cool. And he's also a strong guy, which leads into a really cool, like, popular story that leads into a storyline later that talks about descendants of another age. And we meet Tessai, who was played by the same guy who played Boken Silver. He plays Tessai, a hard-headed kung fu master who he puts the Koryugers under his basic training, and he boots King from the team because he is, quote-unquote, has no weakness. This is a big problem that I had with King throughout the series. And I think, like, as much as I want to talk about it, I want to, like, go through the villain, like, all the characters' roll call at least once without having to talk about King's damn issue. This whole problem, there's King's entire problem I have to address. But, like I said, Kung Fu Master, he also has a descendant that appears later on. The next one is Koryu Violet, who is 2 people, basically. It's not a common or double thing, it's more one person gave up the powers to another. The first one, Dr. Oshade, he is the reason, like, the Gabu revolver is made, the Gabu caliber, basically any of the Koryuger's weapons were made by him. Hell, he does the voice, like Vamala, Mucho, or Gabri-chan, Gabu, I can't do it because my cold is, like, unable to, but on a normal day, I could do, like, Giga Gabri-chan, Brachias. I can't do it right now, like I have a cold. So he does that. He's the voice of all the weapons, and he's the announcer. And he's played by the same guy who played Frankie in One Piece. So, you guys are a One Piece fan? Definitely check out Dr. Olshade's character. He doesn't appear much in the show because when he does appear, he has a moment where he does the pose and he threw out his back. No, seriously, he throws out his back during the process of posing, and he's all like, I can't move. This is bullshit. I can't move. So he trains his daughter, Yaoi, who is a tiny bit obsessed with King. Just a little bit. She's in love with the guy, which makes it all the more painful when we talk about the bad things of this season. And her transformation to being Koryu Violet is more, she's one of those people who have, like, no faith in herself. Like, I can't do this, I can't be with these guys, I can't, like, fight on their level. Like, freaking Usenimaru's like a goddamn samurai, and I'm like this scientist. I'm no one, I can't do this. And when she finally understood the power of bravery, which is, like, the power of a season, bravery and music, she's Koryu Violet, and she does kick ass. I mean, hell, she even does, like, her weapon basically is, she has the Gabu caliber and the Gabu revolver combined as one, and it turns into a bayonetta type weapon. Like, she uses the thing as like a freaking rifle / bayonetta, and it's badassery at its finest. It's badassery at its finest. And to talk about the Plezuan mech, which also has its own formation, it's also been configured to be a space traveling mech. Originally, the Plezuan Zudenshi is a water-based mech, but it also now flies into space. Because when we met Dr. O'Shea, that's where he was coming back from. Space. Just want to fucking point that out, that he went to fucking space and came back. And the last Koyuger to talk about is Koryu Silver, Torin, the mentor character of this season. Torin is awesome. Torin always has the coolest things to say. Like, he'll say, like, oh, like, you guys are brave, and he snaps his fingers, and he's also a swordsman. He's Doggy Kruger of the season, because he fights with a sword. He is able to stand toe-to-toe with Lord Chaos, one of the generals of the season. And, like, when we do find out about his backstory, which is he is Lord Chaos's brother, and that he was a debuff monster originally, but he turned good, it's all the more like, okay, he's redeeming himself, or rather, he's taking the time to actually destroy the thing that he's become, which is a debuff monster, but he's now on the side of the heroes. And seeing him as Koryu Silver was something pretty cool. And sadly, while he is Koryu Silver, he isn't the last Ranger. Sadly, we have two more. One more. I'm not going to talk about that one. The last is Koryu Silver 2, and that was Daisansu Kiryu. Kiryu Daisansu, which is King's father. King's father is also known as the strongest man in the world, because he's like, he travels and he's been bathed in the melody of the earth or something. It's a weird plot line where he's like, he was bathed in the melody of the earth, and he is so damn strong that he has basically a jet to pistol attack that bruises a monster in one blow. You're like, okay, for a guy who's 62, yet, I said it. He's 62. And can do that? And go toe-to-toe with his son. And go toe-to-toe with the other Koryugers. And go toe-to-toe with, like, a lot of the bad guys in the season. I'm super impressed. Impressed. Very, very, very impressed. And with that, that's all our heroes for this season. That's the heroes for the season. It's time to go into the villains. And god damn it, I love these villains. The villains for this season I enjoy. The only two villains I never enjoyed were the last two general characters, and that was because they were shoehorned at the last minute, I feel like. So let's talk about Candida, the Soldier of Joy. Basically, the monster's plans for the villain's plans for each episode is one of the generals of joy, sorrow, happiness, and anger, and later hatred will make a monster based on like that ability, and it goes and wreaks havoc on the town. Candida's more of romantic values. She's the soldier of love, and I don't know. I had my doubts at first, like, okay, love isn't really that thing that makes you evil, and I go, then again, like, love makes you do like extremely crazy and stupid stuff. I think one of my personal favorite monsters that she made was a monster that like straight up like cuts the ties of friendship between people. Like this episode like it features Soji meeting the it's the first time we met like the kendo director for Soji's high school, and she has a crush on Soji and Soji doesn't know it. This shows a really odd theme of romance that we'll get into later. And when the monster of the week like cuts her ties with Soji, poor Soji gets nearly like choked to death via like, why you little, like, why can't you just understand? I don't think you'll understand the fact that he's being throttled to death. And with Candida, we also have Luck Hero, the Soldier of Luck. Yes, it's a he. I'm telling you right now, the entire season, the gender of this character was so goddamn ambiguous, it made no iota of sense. It really did. Like, no one knew what the hell this person's gender was. We found out later it's a guy, apparently. Whatever. Luck Hero is the reason why the monsters of the week grow. He pours special water on them with a flower pot, and they grow. He also has a thing where he throws a ball, and they can re-shrink themselves back to like normal size. Why they don't do this enough is beyond my comprehension. But Luck Hero makes sure, as like, if any of the generals there, he's there to make sure the monster grows, or hell, sometimes even the koyugers can like fuck up a little bit. And maybe the koyugers accidentally fuck up a bit and just wind up getting unlucky, as he says. Also, he has a thing with the manga, Love Touch. And now that I finished with the connection with Love Touch and the two characters, Amy and Luck Hero, the final like side character / descendant is the descendant for, about to say Torin, it's not Ramirez, Tessai's descendant, who's a manga artist. Yeah, seriously, he's a manga artist, and he's the guy who drew Love Touch. And partly the reason why, like, Luck Hero doesn't want to, like, destroy the Earth. Because if the world is destroyed, who's gonna make Love Touch? Which I think the plot of it is something like this girl's a general of a rugby team, and it's a shoujo manga. Shoujo. I can't even pronounce the word right under these conditions. Anyways, next villain I want to talk about is Algron, the Soldier of Sadness. Algron's monsters are more like, he makes monsters that make you feel terrible on the inside. Like, he has like his own catchphrase, like, this stings. And like, he's sad. It's a sad, lonely night. He's a sad walking suit of armor, let's just put it that way. There's nothing inside it, first of all. And he's the reason why Ian's friend is dead. He kills Ian's friend, and there's this big moment in the finale where Algron basically has this heroic sacrifice. During the series, Algron has this moment where he snaps completely. He goes from sadness to rather pissed. And at one point, he blows up. He tries to blow up the koyugers along with himself. He lived, but he becomes a walking suit of armor, and he can't die. And when the final two generals appear, they basically beat the shit out of Algron, so they can kill Kandura and Luckyro because they're not needed anymore. And he basically no, if I'm gonna redeem myself for what I've done, I'm gonna do it this way. And we do find out he is in love, with Luckyro. He's in love with Kandura. And when he dies, it's more of Ian's choice, because Ian can just go on and say you can suffer for all the crimes you've committed, but he goes, no, you have to be free. You've now it's you've done enough. You've protected these two from being destroyed, and that's what's really cool. I think Ian's turn is more reminiscent for me of Jen's turn, when she had Rancic and she was gonna probably kill him, but she did the right thing and arrested him. And that's what Ian did. Ian did the right thing and freed Algron's soul. The next character we should talk about is Doggold, the Soldier of Anger. Now this is the characteristic of a walking suit of armor. Doggold basically can't live on his own. He's a walking suit of armor, and the first thing he possesses is Usenimaru. Usenimaru, during the warring time period, had a lot of anger, and he absorbed into Doggold, and he breaks free of Doggold, but now Doggold is constantly traveling to souped up variations of monsters, of the grunts, in order to stay alive. He even eats a general later. He takes on a general, absorbs him, but he has a classic case of you are what you eat. As in, he does say he has the quirks, which I'll say once we get to this character. And basically, he's also a samurai. He's this warrior character as well. And he also this is infuriating. He's always angry. He's angry. He storms off, and he controls lightning just like Usenimaru, which makes for really cool fights. The last general we talk about is Endolf, the Soldier of Hatred. When Endolf first appears, it's not he's a new general. He's no normal monster of the week. This guy's a straight up general, and he knows it. And he has moments where every character says oh, this stings, and you keep smiling, and all these things. Algron he's the only guy that eggs people on, who straight up eggs on the koyugers. He's yes, get angry. You want to get angry. You know it. You want to get angry. You know it. Gnash your teeth in hatred. You know that you hate me. Hate me. Feed my power. Make me stronger. Make me stronger. You know it. Your anger and recklessness will be your downfall. And basically, his character comes up as a point of he is the thing that can combat bravery. Legit, he fights off the koyugers they're nothing. He fights off Ian and King they're just nothing. He goes, oh, you guys are ridiculous. And he goes, oh, you give me a headache. This is so annoying. You guys are just stupid. And sometimes he has more violent outbursts disappear and die. And he straight up shoots up the koyugers, or he slashes them with a sword. And he creates his own monsters. He creates two monsters. Basically, it's just because it's supposed to be promotional items for the power-up for this season, Carnival, which is basically a walking Zord. More on that later. And Andolph is eaten by Duggold, and when Duggold, like, throughout the series, Duggold begins displaying some moments of, you are what you eat. No, seriously, it's, you are what you eat. Because at points, Duggold even has those moments of burst, like he'll go, I bet you hate me now, or this is annoying, or you've given me a headache. It's like, yeah, you're starting to lose it there. And when he breaks out of Duggold, he is more than a little pissed. He's like, oh, now you fucked up, you stupid piece of armor. He nearly kills him. And there's a good quote that says that Kandira, who stops the violence, is the strongest general of them all. Because, well, love overcomes anything. Because love can overcome anything. Now, with every great generals, we have bosses. Lord Chaos is one of them. Lord Chaos is what we thought was the final boss of the season. But when we find out that he's only serving Deboff, a floating fortress at first, then a giant green monster, then a really crazy, odd-looking monster, fairy-type monster, which I'm telling you straight up, it's what it is. He's basically the spellcaster for the season. He throws spells at the koyugers. He doesn't fight much, but when he does, he had this moment of, he mopped the floor with everyone. Even Torin, who is like the badass Silver Ranger of the team. And he had a more broken move. The Deboff like execution move or explosion technique is more broken than freaking Wizard's than the Wise Man, Kamen Rider Wise Man's explosion spell. It's just the fuck you explosion spell. And even then, that's something to be crazy of. And Chaos really doesn't die until like the very end of the series, which is cool, because I thought Deboff was going to kill him when he gets released. Speaking of Deboff, when he appears, the show really kicks into high gear, and that's basically the final few episodes. And he has this countdown clock to where he's going to destroy the Earth, and let me tell you, he has to be the strongest bad guy in this entire season, because Torin, who is piloting a giant mech at the moment, takes the axe and tries to break it down on Deboff, and Deboff just looks at him and goes, he catches the axe and flips him. Yeah, he flipped the mech by just standing there. Sure, he beats up the koyugers, and he even, although he is the stupidest villain for falling for this plan, for the big plan at the end of the series, it's genius. He's one of my favorite final bosses. Sadly, he's not the final boss for the overall series, but I can say he's one of my favorite villains so far. And with that, we are reaching the end of our characters roster. The only characters I haven't gone over are basically characters that I haven't seen the 100 Years After movie for. And that also has to require knowledge of the series. So let's get into a few themes and things of the series. The first theme I want to talk about is bravery. The fact that the koyuger's powers run on bravery is something beyond my comprehension. I love it. Bravery is something good. I like bravery. And unlike with Magi Ranger, every time they get more and more courageous, they get more and more stronger. Each time the koyugers get more and more brave, sometimes their powers are even more amped up. Like, one battle, Nobuharu uses the Ankinon hammer technique, and Daigo uses the Bunpachi ball and chain technique, and it goes to like an energy power level, and it's like it reached Green Lantern levels of power up. Excuse me. And it's something I enjoyed about that. Like, and the fact that when they had Endolf appear, and he's supposed to be like the thing that kind of clashes with bravery, it's something that I enjoy. Like, you don't expect a lot of characters to like clash with villains that much. This is one of those series that doesn't even have like the fated duel sometimes. Like the fated duel between a character and a monster. This more so happens between a ranger and a... This is more King and Desansu's fight towards the end. And when bravery is brought into the series, it's like, hey, that's the most overused word in the series. Brave! That was brave! You are brave! You gotta be brave! We gotta up our bravery! And then once like the internal melody gets involved, which is the second theme, music. Music plays a really, really big importance in this series. A lot of times, even like things like some like songs, the show actually has a good soundtrack. It has a really good soundtrack, and you can download the albums too. Like the theme song is really cool. I like the theme song. Sadly, I wish they went the same route as Go Busters and did combination where they did one theme and then did another theme. Sadly that didn't happen, but that other song that was introduced when Ian leads the team in one episode does come into like the album, and it's also in the koyuger movie, which I enjoy. It had a movie exclusive ranger, but he was an evil ranger, and he doesn't count because he's not human, he's actually a monster. And to go on a quick tangent, this is actually one of the first times something from the movie actually has an effect in the show. The character from the movie, Dee, comes back in one episode. Dee and Miko, the girl from the movie, come back in one episode. And this comes into a play with a really stupid plot line that almost rivals the Jetman problem. More on that later. So, with melody, music, going back to music, with music being involved, there's a lot of singing done by Candira's actor, because when Candira sings, it's supposed to disrupt the melody of the koyugers, which they get weaker or they get hurt by that melody. When Torin gets hit by like the evil song, he's like, this music is so... Sometimes I really wish they don't overdo it sometimes. They kind of overdo it. They go like, no, the melody is so bad. Ah, it's like sometimes it's overacting. They overact the it's bad. You could just go, ah, it's bad. Not do like, no, it's so bad. It's crazy. Whoa, It's okay. Relax. It's terrible music. We've all sat through Justin Bieber concerts with your little sister or your girlfriend. Whatever. We sat through I sat through worse. We all sat through worse. And when the last two generals appeared in the show, one of them is a music-based monster, and it had a trumpet. And the trumpet power was so strong that it was able to disrupt carnival power, which was something like, okay, now we're getting serious because the souped-up power can't even touch the monster of this season. And I like the fact that the Earth's melody is the theme song. Yes, as much as the theme song plays throughout the series, and it's a really, boom, 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 boom. It's a big samba, like, you can really dance to it. The melody variation of it, it's more somber. It's da 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 da. It's like, it's okay. Like a nice somber one. If they were to play that during some of the sadder moments of the show, it would have helped. I'll give you an example of a moment that this music is bad sometimes for the show. both opening and ending. I'm sorry to say I like the ending. The ending is basically a pokey rap with the characters doing like, it's gabu 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 tira. It's like a cool little dance, and you get to see people, the cast do the dance, and then later on through the series, they actually added like videos of little kids doing the dance, and it's super cute. And then towards the end, they always add like a special team, like the soccer team of the series is doing like the dance, which I think is not going to come out. The motions are not going to come out fluently on my camera, I think. And there's also a moment where it said, one of the cooler moments was like, 3 ridiculous ninjas, or 3 random ninjas, and it was the Hurricangers. Yes, Hurricane Red, Blue, and Yellow actually came back and did the dance, because I guess this was promotion for the 10 years after storyline that they did for the movie, which I'll review that later. And that was cool. And then when Kamen Rider Gaim was about to come out, with one of Gaim's team being the dance teams, the Team Gaim did the dance. They did it for, like, I think 2 episodes. Like, make sure you see the show next week. It's going to be amazing. And then there was also people like the Wizard, the Kamen Rider Wizard cast did it. And it was like, a bunch of red guys. And it was O-Red, Die-Red, O-Red, Ryu Ranger. I think it was like a bunch of like classic red Sentai members doing the dance. And it was like, whoa, it's amazing, that's awesome. Now, on to where this music could be a little bit bad. In some episodes let's take the episode where Torin dies. The first time. Yeah, he dies twice this series. When he dies the first time, it's like, Torin, no, to be continued. Dun, 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 dancing dinosaurs, happy time, singing song, blah, blah. And you're like, Torin just died. Can we not have these type of openings? Can we have an Earth Shock moment? And the Earth Shock moment is basically, if you've watched Doctor Who, is spoiler for the 5th Doctor storyline, Earth Shock. Did you all leave? Did you all mute this part? Okay, good. I'll give you the thumbs up. I'll thumbs up when you can come back. Mute now. When the Doctor loses his companion Adric to a Cyberman plot, normally the show will have like a normal ending, like da da da, like the music plays. This was like the first time the credits rolled and like no music was playing. You're like, shit, that just really happened. The problem, no, okay, unmute. Now the problem with koyuger's music is it's too cheery. When something sad happens, sometimes it's normally followed by something happy. So like I said, when Torin dies in the end of one episode, it's dun, dun, dancing dinosaurs, happy time, singing song, blah 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 blah. Then the next episode it's like, Torin, no, oh my god, why is he dead? And then the opening is more, it's like dun, dun, the super happy, upbeat, and you're like, we're having a really serious moment. This is what I call suffering through happy songism. The happy song effect. It brings down certain openings. If an opening was like supposed to be meant as sad, why not just skip the opening for that episode and go, this week's episode, will Torin survive? Instead of dancing dinosaurs, epic and super happy singing song. Or you can do like a really somber, more upbeat, like duh, duh, and maybe have a more serious opening, like they all look at the camera like dramatically or something. I don't know. Let's not have it like with Wild Force. Everybody's like, and Eric's like, serious. That's like the one thing I really never liked about the opening. That's the one thing I always found funny about the opening is everybody's always super damn cheerful, and then Eric's all like, what? Because they took a clip from an episode. They took a clip from an episode where he senses the wind, and he's all like, what? The wind. Instead of him going like, But that's why Merrick's one of my favorites. That's why Merrick's one of my favorite Six Rangers. American-wise, obviously. So, happy song issue. But a lot of songs that do play, majority, like the character songs, do have their moments. One of my personal favorite is Solid Bullet, which is Ian's theme, and when that plays, it plays during the fight with Ian and one of the generals from the final episode, because he basically kills the bad guy with Algeron's axe. That's a moment where the song does kind of kick in and make you feel more of a kick-ass moment. Aside from that, with the theme out of the way of music and bravery, it's time for what I liked about the season. The cast. The cast is not too ragtag, but the team was not together in the first few episodes. Normally, a Sentai that has established characters, normally the first episodes maybe like, we're all together, we can fight this battle together. This one's more like, yeah, I'm not going with you. Yeah, you're not cool. I don't understand you. Like, one of my personal favorite was Ian calling Soji boy. He's like, boy, don't get your head in the clouds, boy. Like, you need to play it cool, boy. Like, something like that. And then at the end of the series, he's like, I'm glad that I fought alongside you, Soji. And you're like, whoa, what? Like, it's something awesome. So it was like, whoa. Like I said, that's a good turning moment in the show. The team's dynamic, the main six actually, is really good. It feels like a more hilarious family setting sometimes. Like with some episodes where they like have their goofy moments, is really like a standpoint. Like the old man jokes. There's a joke about where Nobuharu is trying to feel good about himself, and he's like, Uchi, you're like 2,000 years old. He's like, and Usunima was like, actually, I'm 29. I think he says he's 29 or 25. He's like, I'm 25. You're like, damn, Nobuharu's old. But then again, that's another trope they put in Sentai recently. The old guy. Which is not like a bad thing. I mean, I think we need to have like an old guy on there, like to have some, like, like a, a good moment of hilarity and fun. With the team's dynamic also comes with the team's own problems with each other sometimes. The problem I had, the main problem I also do have with the series will come up later. Back to more things I like. The mechs. The mechs were awesome. I love all the little miniature combinations and everything that they did. Like Western, Kung Fu, Rocket, like Gigante, which is like the biggest freaking mech I've ever seen in my life. And there's even like Paragoran, Western, Kung Fu, and all that. It's amazing. The mechs for this season are really good. There's also like the villains for this season. I enjoyed the villains for this season as well. You say like every villain had a good moment, like Algeron's turn, or Kandura and Luckiro actually becoming good guys in the end of the series. It's like, oh my god, this series actually pulled another, Jinx and Toxica from Wild Force or Gal Ranger, where they actually turn good and, we'll do whatever we need to do. Go keep the world safe. That was something cool. I like the fact that they did that with the villains. The characters were well defined. None of them had every character had his or her own growth moment, or each episode had their moment where they actually did shine. Which now we lead into the main problem of the show. King. He's the problem with the show, basically. He doesn't drag it down. It's more that King's too much of a Deus Ex Machina. To explain, it's basically this. King figures out the plot. King does all of things. King always tells him, like, Let's combine and make Kentaro Spiker. Like, I know he's the leader and all, but sometimes even the leaders sometimes step back and have, like, the others do the job too. Like, I'll make, like somebody will go, I'll make the cannon this time, and I'll use my strength to hammer it home. But King, it's like, he really just tries to steal the spotlight from people. It's like, he tries so damn hard to be overdoing it, like, we're gonna get wild, try to stop us. And he's the main focus of everything. It's like, the carnival episode, I understand. It's his power-up. But why on earth is this moment like, there's a moment where, this episode is Utsunimaru's episode. No, I'm telling you, it's Utsunimaru's episode yet. And basically, Uchi's episode is more or less, he is trying to teach this kid how to be a bigger person. And what winds up happening is, like, the monster of the week is this baby based monster, and the baby is supposed to trick people to thinking like, oh, you're cute, but the monster transforms into like this crazy psycho bat monster and beats the living shit out of people. And when it first attacks the koyugers, it attacks them with cuteness, and they're like, oh, it's so cute. And then King's all like, nope, shoot. You're like, wait, what? King, why'd you shoot it? And even the monster just goes, oh my god, someone with common sense. It's like King needs to freaking tone it down with the main character. We have established 10 main characters. And the main problem here is that King took up too much of it. Episodes that are supposed to be standalone episodes for other Rangers, somehow he gets involved and it turns into something with him. And the thing here is with King, I can't do but to just go, he steals the spotlight. That's all he does. King is also the main focus of a goddamn love quadrilateral. This is the Jetman problem I'm talking about. And to quickly explain this, which I don't really care, this is not a major story plot because it just derives from the main story of the series. The love thing is, in Jetman, Karu, I think that's her name. Oh my god, I'm bad with names. Is in love with Ryu, Red Hawk. Red Hawk's in love with his girlfriend who was sucked out of a goddamn plane, and is the villain Maria. No relation to any Maria anybody knows. Well, he likes her still, and Guy likes her, Kaori, I think I'm pronouncing it right. But Kaori's like, no, I don't love you. There's even a moment where Guy just goes, I love you, and he forces himself to make out with her, and she goes, no, what are you doing? This is ridiculous. I mean, she made a goddamn sweater for Ryu, and Ryu's all like, no, I can't take this. I'm still committed to this girl I love, who is fucking dead at this point. And then Raita, Yellow Owl, gets involved. He's all like, well, he gets involved a little bit. He's all like, I can never love her because I'm like overweight and I'm a farmer and she's rich. And I know I'll never be together. We'll never be together, but we'll become the greatest. I'll become like her big brother. So it's like, at this point when you're watching the show, you're like, come on. I want to know what Virum's planning right now. What is Virum doing? What's Virum planning to like stop the Jetman or take over the world? I don't need this soapy romance bullshit. No offense to Maji Ranger, which did it actually, but which did the romance arc very better. It did the romance arc better. Just saying. Just saying. So with Koyuger, here's the thing. Yaoi likes King, and Miko likes King. And then later on, Amy likes King. And it's so... The thing is, with Amy, this is a last-second moment. This is a last-second romance. With Yaoi and Miko, it could have been one of those moments where King tries to understand, like, oh, like, this is somebody I'm in love with. Do I choose this person or do I choose that person? Who do I choose and who do I turn to? You know, and that's where really, like, he can coincide with Ian or Usamaru or Torin. Who, by the way, Torin's the only character that never calls King. He calls him Daigo, and he calls his friend Daisansu King, which is pretty cool. So it's so weird to see King in a situation like that. And at the end, when King chooses Amy over these two love interests, it pissed me off so much. And this was one of the bigger problems with the show. They shoehorned in too many things at the last minute. They shoehorned in a clock. They shoehorned in the two generals. They shoehorned in the whole thing about Deboff not being the only bad guy, and which was just a setup for the 100 years after. When we found out about that, we probably assumed that maybe a greater evil is afoot. The thing is, with the King and Amy romance, it's a last-second thing. I never like it when they do the last-second romances. And that was the bigger problem. The show had a moment of... It suffered through the mid-season slump, and now it went through... It tried to be, like, over the top. Wait, give me a second. Sorry, fixing something. And when King just basically goes, I'm going to be with Amy because strawberry parfait. No, seriously, this is what happens. King's about to leave for this big battle with his father because his father apparently turned evil, which was not the case. And Amy's like, if we don't get this chance, I just want to say that if we all survive this ordeal, you want to go with me to get strawberry parfait? And oh, what a fucking surprise. It's strawberry in some other color. It's red and pink. So he's like, yeah, I would like that. I go, are you fucking serious? Are you serious? No. It made things worse when at the end, also the ending had a Deus Ex Machina in it. They couldn't just leave it with King dying and possibly coming back in the Versus movie. Like, if he died, and in 100 years after explained something about him having an ancestor or an heir, it could mean, like, if they did the koyuger Versus movie early, it will probably explain how King came back to life. Instead, it's like, oh, the dinosaur saved me from the exploding fortress. In which, I don't know when the dinosaurs could ever go Deus Ex Machina on us. But I guess that's what happens when the true melody of the earth comes in. Basically, the final few episodes acted like a movie for me. It had everything the movie needed. Like, an action, adventure. The romance was a bit bullshit. And the ending was all in all satisfying. I was satisfied with the ending a bit satisfied. And then there were some tropes, the Star Wars tropes that I have to talk about. Basically, towards the end, when Torin dies, he gives his blade, the Feather Edge, to Soji. And Torin has this hologram that's like, if you're looking at this, that means I am dead. And Soji, you were like the last hope or something, like you have the sword now, and you know the Trinity Strays are attacked. And I'm like, did he planned this shit out in advance? Because it's very Star Wars-ish. And even at the end, it's like Torin, Ramirez, and Tessai standing in spirit form yes, we're going to be okay. But anyway, still back to my one problem with the romance. I know, just that was the biggest problem I have with the show. when you see King and Amy like hug, you see Aoi like she has that moment of like your heart, and then your heart starts breaking. It's like, but she loves him, and like your heart starts breaking. It's like you have that moment of when you realize that your crush likes someone else, and they're going out with them, and you know it, and you're like, saddest moment for me. That shot me right in the heart. And really, while that's somewhat of the bad things, King and the romance storyline, the rest of the show is really good. It's good. A lot of people gave this show a lot of flack. Given like koyuger's gotten a lot of flack for being kids. It's like a show for kids. It's a show. It's supposed to pump people up. The thing is, with Kamen Rider Wizard being a darker series, it's even a darker entry into the Heisei writers era. Apparently, it's so far the darkest. Gaim is teetering itself. It's a fight right now between these two. So now, with that out of the way, I'm hoping that 100 Years After will be a good movie, a good send-off to the team, and a good send-off to the series in general. And I hope when we do see the Go Buster, I haven't seen the Go Busters movie yet, the Go Buster team-up movie yet, but I heard it's really good. And hopefully when the subs come out for that movie, I get to watch it, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. So keep your eyes peeled for that review. My final verdict, I give koyuger 8 out of 10. The love triangle and King stealing the spotlight really took it down a notch, but it really was a good show. You guys got to give this show a chance. Give it a chance, and you'll understand. This is Knight Rider 7602 signing out. Peace.